Howdy everyone. Thought I'd look back today at some of those spooky cartoon episodes I mentioned a while back. I had a little pumpkin there on my desk for that one. I like to, I think it was around Halloween time I did this, so it was nice and easy to get decorations. And yeah, decided to fight Booze. This is actually only one of the few videos I filmed at night for all the live action. Back then my lightsaber actually worked, which was pretty cool. I'm probably going to replace my lightsaber in one of the upcoming videos, if I haven't already when you see this. Yeah, I wanted to find another orange one, because orange-yellow is like my favorite color, but I can only find a green one, which is, well, that's alright. Like, Luke Skywalker's got a green lightsaber too, and I love Luke Skywalker, so... Anyway, yeah, Squidbob Tentacle Pants, again, it's number 10 because it's not that spooky. It's just got some kind of creepy imagery, almost just for that one scene at the end. I'm like, oh god, that's what a way to finish the episode with them all mutilated together. Like, even that sort of stuff isn't too bad. You know what? It's got a couple of different limbs. I mean, that is kind of grotesque right there. Like, what were they thinking? Ugh. And like, oh yeah. So hopefully this isn't just me going ugh at everything. But yeah, some of the imagery was pretty bad for a SpongeBob episode, and this, some people say this episode's banned, but whenever I saw this episode on television, it was still there, so I don't know. That is pretty vile, though. Yeah, always nice to have a chance to talk about SpongeBob. I know I say that often, but just fun show. There's no really ultra bad episode, or not very many ultra bad episodes to me, but yeah. And of course, Gravity Falls, like, this has to go on the list, and I wanted to mention it early because, you know, I figured people would want to say, yeah, all of Weirdmageddon was really dark, and really edgy. Yeah, Bill was a mystery to me all the way through. I felt like they had more to say in this series, like, they could have done more with Bill. It really did feel like a second series, you know, there was so many mysteries to it that they certainly could have done a second series. You may notice I had a bit of a darker voice in this one. I was really enjoying kind of hamming it up with that kind of darky voice. It's the same reason I really enjoy doing Dark Strider. Dark Strider would have been good for this one, but I hadn't really come up with the concept yet. Oh, crap. Anyway, people didn't care. Yeah, actually, I came up with the concept of Dark Strider when I played a zombie for a friend in one of their movies, and yeah, they gave me all this dark makeup, and I was like, ooh, eyeshadow was fun. This was an awesome conclusion. I know I say that a lot, but yeah, hard to forget this series. I wonder if they will make another one eventually. Disney XD, yeah, they are just so on top of things right now. They've got DuckTales as well. It's just come out. They just keep on producing gem after gem. And Frybo. Yeah, this was odd. It was a little bit of a change in tone for the series that felt kind of horror-ish. I mean, technically I'd call this one a little bit creepier. But this one was, I don't know, it had a very kind of mutilaty feel, not mutilaty, veiny feel. Just the design of the thing. It's very artificial and kind of spooky, and you don't really get that feeling on Steven Universe in any of the other episodes. So I was just like, yeah, this should be on there because it was, and it's not scary, obviously, but it's something's not right there. And for a lot of cartoons like this, you do have to say rather than what's scary. It's not disempowering. It's just ugh. And that's what I think real horror is. Horror is about psychology, feeling helpless and disempowered before the force before you. And most cartoons don't really do that often. It's how to make a person feel miserable, basically. And that's why I don't like horror that much, and actual horror. I like kind of spooky stuff in cartoons, and spooky stuff, yeah, in general shows, but not real horror. Watership Down. God, this was brutal, this show. I actually wondered if I get flagged for some of this imagery, because, God, look at the blood. But it was like G or PG, so I guess, you know, it's okay to show suffocating bunnies. You know, and that's good. It was very artistic and beautiful, and by no ways am I saying it shouldn't have been showed, but God, some of this stuff you go, wow, this would have creeped me out as a kid. But I was a very sensitive kid, and I'm sure not every kid is as sensitive as I was. And yeah, I did have to work quite hard to find all the violent footage for this one, because it's a really long, strong movie. It's like something you'd see by Don Bluth. Little shot of Judy the bunny there. Yeah. Little shots of Fighting Boo. I think most people don't even notice those, but they're just kind of there because I wanted to do something with it. And yes, of course, Gumball. Yeah, this episode was weird imagery. I don't know. It was so well done. I know why they did it. It was a great concept. They can't do really scary, because they're Gumball, but they can make it kind of creepy, and this almost is disempowering, so it's using an element of horror but not quite going all the way, and that in some ways is so clever. And that's what I love about animation, is they sometimes have to jump around the rules in order to be allowed to show it to kids. And in this way, the teacher's being disempowered because she's becoming helpless before everyone else. And she thinks she can make it, then ultimately realizes she can't make it. And that is the essence of a horror plot, is thinking that you're safe and then realizing you're not. Thinking you're okay, but then all your confidence being slowly drained away, which is, I think, pretty awful, but it's what the horror is meant to do. The true horror is meant to disempower and bring about fear. Which is just not my thing. And, of course, Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is all kinds of creepy. To this day, this episode really just this was such an unsettling episode. Turning them into puppets is, ugh. And they look kind of creepy, too, which is... Yeah, Fusili doesn't look all that creepy. He's just like a gator, but, yeah. And what can be said about Courage? It's just... overall, just one of the better Cartoon Network shows. As I think I mentioned in this, it goes on my best Cartoon Network list because it's definitely one of my favorite of the cartoons, because it's very creative. It's probably a word I use a lot, but in this situation, it just is just really... You never really know what setting they're going to throw at you next. I really like this episode, and I love the concept of bloodbending, because I think it's such a great twist. It is just so typical of Avatar to bring about such a clever twist where you take it, and it's kind of scientific and logical at the same time, that we have water in our blood. It shows the frailty of human beings, and I think that is beautiful when you can make something fun, but at the same time it expresses the human frailty, and I think that is so beautiful. So yeah, big fan of that. Yeah, just really, really powerful. And what they do here, with first introducing it, and they bring it about again in Legend of Korra, which is cool. I don't know if I was going overboard mentioning about this brain thing, because I personally think that is really creepy, the idea of bending the brain. It's, ugh. Yet alone bending their blood and making their peripheral system, which is basically the muscular system, move around to their bidding. It's ugh. But yeah, just very dark, very unsettling episode, and like most of Avatar, just beautifully done. Dark Harvest, which everyone knows, and who's ever watched Invader Zim, because this is probably one of the most, if not the most popular episode, because it is just going that little bit extra with, and is just slightly bit creepier. Nickelodeon, I think, actually complained about that episode, and you'll find in one of the upcoming episodes where Zim eats waffles, this guy called Nick is basically given this happiness probe, and is basically to say screw you to the Nick developers, who have to have it in that 8 to 16 demographic. Yeah, it was just a very discomforting episode, because it is just looking at all the organs and the brains, and there's just something very, very unsettling about the idea of taking someone's personal organs, because that's you, and it again expresses the frailty of a person, the frailty of being alive, being human, and that's one of the elements of horror that Zim was quite aware of, and it was for a kid audience, which is just astounding. And Alma. This one. I still don't like to look at this scene. I still do not watch this because it really unsettles me to see him get sucked into the doll and those little images you get in between there where he's like falling into the doll. It's just, his plastic prison. Look at that. Ugh. And now you can see he's seeing through the... that wasn't much of an exaggeration there. I was freaked the hell out by that. And you can see here that there's actually other people that are trapped in the dolls as well who are looking over at him saying, oh, hello. Look, you've got the little girl there going, ugh, there's another one. Welcome to the club, pal. You're now forever trapped in a doll. Yeah, and yes, I know I was completely wrong on this, that it wasn't actually done by Pixar. It was someone who previously worked in Pixar. I was completely wrong on that. I don't know how I mixed that, because I actually, took it straight from the wiki article, the information I got. But these things happen. A bit of, And of course, the honorable mentions, and Black and White was just fun. I mean, this is about as horror-ish as Mickey gets, except for in the old days, which I'll talk about in an upcoming video, which is probably already out by the time you see this. And Night on Bald Mountain. And I've been told, technically this isn't an episode. And no, it's not. I mean, it's kind of a Fantasia episode, but I just thought it was worth mentioning anyway, because it was such an iconic kind of dark scene. And Nightmare Before Christmas. And that's technically not a cartoon, that's an animated movie, so I guess I was wrong on that too. But again, it's very iconic, so I really wanted to mention it. And Doug did a much better job anyway. Freaky Stories, I don't think anyone remembers except me, but I wanted to give it a quick shout out because I really liked it. Didn't really have to, though. And The Black Cauldron, again, is a movie and not an episode, but again, I was like, this is iconic, and this has got some really dark imagery, so why not mention it, eh? Yeah, and that is kind of my philosophy sometimes on these lists. It's so loose, it's basically, why not? And, of course, for number 1, Dumbland. Ugh, this show. Ooh. It's so David Lynch, how when he's just drawing crappy pictures is he able to still freak us out so much. It's just, doesn't even have a budget this time. And look, he's got bunnies right there, just bunnies, and it's still creepy. It's just like, how does he even do that? Just zap yourself already. And like, he will hang on it like that, just on one thing where he's going to hurt himself, he's going to kill himself or something like that in the show, and he'll just hang on it and try and make you torture yourself. It's just really, David Lynch is a master of this stuff, and it really shows an artist's creativity when they can show you basically nothing, like just 2-cent animations, and you still be freaked out. And I by no means think David Lynch is bad at what he does. He is incredible at what he does, which is the uncanny valley, which is making something feel slightly off. That thing I showed before with the bunnies, that's just a bunch of people in bunny costumes, but it still is so creepy that it makes me feel physically ill. So it's, he's very good at that. When something feels slightly off, it's in the shadow. It's like why we feel kind of creeped out around dolls or certain puppets and stuff, because they look human, but there's something slightly wrong. They look close enough to be human, but there's something wrong. And we know humans so well, we see them every day, that when something's wrong, we like, oh, holy crap. And it's why we get that kind of distasteful revulsion feeling when we see them. So anything David Lynch makes tends to be kind of creepy. Though I hear he does a lot more music videos nowadays. I'm not sure. And yes. yeah, overall it was a very creepy list. Yeah, I'm just, there's a little thing I do there where I never quite make clear whether Boo is in my imagination or whether I make it as though he actually exists or whether I can no longer see the ghosts when I calm down. And I kind of like that, leave that little bit of mystery there. Yeah, I think there's good to have that mystery because, yeah. And of course, Bill just sodding off. Again, I hate to post my Patreon, but it's just, I kind of have to at this point. Yeah, that was a good, thanks for watching there. I like that, holding the lightsaber. Yeah. You ever notice a small detail Mike, the guy who drew that, did was he put me on top of the little symbol there, just a tiny picture of me, which was a lovely detail. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. It was nice to go through these with you. Well, I'll talk to you later.